Good afternoon.
Hello out there.
Good.
Yeah, Linda is the first and the only one here right now. Hello, Linda. How are you?
Linda.
I meant to email you and I got all caught up with something else and I'm going to email you later. But I'm glad you did. Baby girl's doing much better. Linda used to work with a vet and she loves dogs. And she whenever she sees baby girl, she loves baby girl. And she wanted to know that she was all right. She's doing better. She was coughing, but she's doing much better. I'm hoping that we'll have another guest come in today. Pastor Norma's here as always, and that's good news.
Fun.
That's good news to have him here. And he may not be here next week though, but that he's here now. That's the good part. That's the good part. But and I am Tony and Sawyer, and this is my husband Clifton. For those who might come in later who don't know us, and there is Brother Green. Let's see if I can bring him in. Let's see if I can bring him in.
He looked like he out of the world.
There he is, Brother Green. He's kind of frozen up, but I see him.
Hello there,
hey, Brother Green. That's Pastor Green. This is Dr.
Hey there, Pastor Green.
Everybody, this is Dr. Charles Green. He's a pastor and founder of Christian Faith Fellowship
in the flesh,
East in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Wow.
Yeah, but we got him, didn't we?
We got you on here.
Glad to be here.
Got you on here. Well, I tell you, we have one young lady who's an exclusive audience. But welcome to Impromptu. Have you ever been on here before with us, Pastor Green? Have you watched us before?
I've watched you, but I've never been in the Zoom meeting.
Okay, and this is not Zoom. This is StreamYard. This is another platform. But
StreamYard. I never heard of this before.
It's another platform, but it works just as good. And today, most of the time when we do, well, thank you. We when we do our impromptus, it's simply a conversation that we have, and it may go in any direction. We don't know what direction it's going to go in because we don't pre-plan it. But I was thinking, I have a video that I want to show, but I was hoping more people would come in, but I'm going to go ahead and show it and not wait. It's only about 3 minutes long. And Linda Langdon is saying hello to you, Pastor Green. She's saying hello to you.
Who's this?
Can he see?
This is Linda Langdon, and she's in Washington State. Yeah, she's saying hello to you.
Hello, Linda.
Yeah. And this is Lady
Pastor
Gwen.
Norman Armstrong, I believe.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yes. Now I'm going to remove my banner here so that we'll have more room in case people comment. And of course, our theme has always been the atmosphere of change. And we always talk about the authentic true self, finding your true self. And so I've got a video that I want to show. Like I said, it's only about 3 minutes long. I don't know if anybody else is going to come in, but we hope they will. So I'm going to go ahead and share it. Let's see if I can go ahead and bring that in and see what it's going to look like here. Okay. All right. Here we go.
That's heavy. What does it mean to see your true self? Isn't that why everyone's here? Come look at the true mirror here. It's the world's only mirror that doesn't reverse your image. So for the first time you're seeing yourself without that flip. The big thing is that we have so much information about who we are in our eyes. And our eyes change when you flip them. They change to where they actually stop working. Like when we're smiling, there's light in our eyes, and it's light with meaning. And it's like, it sparkles, it's beautiful, it's lovely. It's like, wow, you know? And you get to see that in the true mirror because you see the meaning behind the sparkle. And then I show them the backwards mirror, and I go, yeah, that's who you've seen your whole life. And they go, whoa. And I say, that's how it's been for the whole human race. They go, whoa. So there's really deep and profound significance to this experience. Okay.
Oh my God, it's so different.
Right?
It's so that's from your brain. We just even do this. So that's from your brain.
He and I had this relationship, me and the guy on the mirror.
And it was like looking at my best friend, my double, and he looks just like me. He is me.
Some people are really moved, either positively or negatively, in where they see things and they start crying, and it's because they kind of get shaken.
Yeah,
There's your
that's
smile the
weird.
way it actually is.
No, he's not even joking. No, it just look.
But other people, like immediately, the huge amount of joy, like, oh my God, now I know why people like me, you know? And then they start crying because they finally see something that's beautiful and special that they never saw before.
I think noticing the flaws and the imperfections in my face, the asymmetry, looking at myself from a new perspective illuminates those a little bit. So looking past that and seeing that I'm so much more than what is on the outside anyways is hard, but illuminating.
It's pretty profound, you know, because we are these shells, but we're so much more. And we don't get that so much more in a mirror.
Where there's light, there's dark, and you can kind of see maybe some of the pain or maybe some of the neglect and maybe some of the areas in our past that has manifested itself in our faces, which is very interesting.
Which is actually very interesting and a good reflection of you. You know what I mean? That, again, gives you depth of character and purpose that, you know, a lot of people don't go there. You know, we shut all that off. And the beautiful thing is if you get in touch with it and explore it and open it and expose it to light, and it can grow and be what it needs to be. Oh, you're doing great.
Thank you.
Now, can you guys hear me? I want to make sure you can.
Yes, we can hear you.
So, what'd you think of that? That was a true mirror that he was using. What it gives you the ability to see yourself not the way you really are, because our regular mirrors don't give us that option. And when people were really confronted with what they really looked like, it was more than just how I look, but it was a deeper spiritual connection that they made. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, Lady Gwen, it was different, and I saw that on yesterday, and I thought that was really interesting, because we think we know what we look like. We think we know how people perceive us, but we really don't. So if I had a question, how do you actually see yourself? Your authentic self, I don't think we've ever really had a clue as to what our authenticity really looks like. And for myself, I speak for myself. I have spent the better part of my life up until recently trying to mimic and be like someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know as long as I'm doing that, I will not be my authentic self. Mm-hmm. So it's like I can't find my authenticity by trying to be like someone else. I must do my best to not be like anybody else. Mm-hmm. In order to be my authentic self. And I thought that was really interesting. But give me your spill on it.
First of all, I think it was very profound. I'm in agreement with Linda. I wish I had a mirror like that, but the mirrors.
Yeah, I do too.
The mirrors that we actually use, of course, we see a distorted reflection. Again, what we're getting back is the image of our false self. And so with this mirror here, obviously is at a place where there is actually no distortions whatsoever. As I was seeing, I was reminded of, I don't know if you've been to the fairs or to amusement park where you go into that place with all of the different mirrors, and you see tall, fat, wide, all kind of different things, whatever. And so
so when I look in the mirror now, I look like I'm in one of those distorted mirrors, and I'm just really fat.
But it's funny what you said. It actually, all of us probably in some time in our life have always tried to embrace being someone else rather than who we really are. And it's always based off of, once again, the people perception of us. So they become that distorted mirror. They're reflecting back to us what they perceive us to be, and then we try to live it out, and so forth, and at the expense of sacrificing who we really are.
Who we really are, yeah. And especially us ministers, I remember I wanted to be Oprah. I wanted to be a whole bunch of different ministers that I saw. I wanted to be that, so I tried to put on their particular persona, and it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And I remember you saying this, honey, a long time ago, that he tried to preach like Jakes. He tried to preach like some other people he saw, but he had to find his own voice. His own voice. Yeah.
Now, Brother Green, didn't you tell me you had some kind of experience of you could imitate people? Did you tell me that sometime back? You could imitate.
You all up
people.
in my head right now. You all up in my head. I was getting ready to bring that subject up.
Okay.
I didn't realize that you remember that, but I used to think I was Fred Sanford. And I used to imitate him back in 1973. Every Monday morning I would go to school, and during lunchtime I would imitate Sunday night's Fred Sanford, and I had the whole class laughing because I became him.
You
the
became
reason
him,
I can imitate him is because I became him. And it made me walk like him, talk like him, hold my head like him, express like him, and everything else. And I still got a little bit of that left in me, but my voice changed a little bit. But I thought about that right before Brother Sawyer said that. And I said, I used to imitate folks, and I was really good at it. But sometimes I wanted to be somebody, and when I started preaching, I wanted to be Reverend Sawyer.
Oh Lord!
When I bought me a pair of green shoes, pair of black shoes, pair of brown shoes with the the Stacey Adams. I think they were Stacey Adams.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to be Reverend Sawyer. I wanted to be Owen Johnson. And it made it easy for me because I could imitate, and that got in me. But somebody told me years ago, they said, who's going to be you while you somebody else?
All right. All right.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
That's really good. I always tell this story. It's kind of funny that when I was in high school, there was this girl who was really, really popular in school. All the guys thought she was beautiful and everything. So she had this really different kind of walk. So I started practicing. I'd walk from school home, and I'd try to walk like her. And then when I got older and I really looked back at it, she was slew-footed and walked like a duck. And I'm thinking, man, that was not the way I should have walked. But Jesus said, the scriptures say that such a high priest became us.
Yes.
Such a high priest became us. So Jesus put on our persona. He's wearing our persona right now. Yeah.
Now let me share something mystical with you. It's something mystical I'm going to bring to you.
Okay.
The woman that had the issue of blood, after she was healed of the issue that she had, Jesus made a statement to her in the book. And he said to her, daughter, your faith have made thee whole. Go in peace and be whole of thy plague. Now I'm going esoteric this. Daughter, your real self, your infinite self. I'm over here in the 5th chapter of Mark, 34th verse. Your faith has made thee whole, what he said from the book, but I'm going to paraphrase it and change it. Esoteric meaning, there's a much deeper meaning in there than what you see and hear on the surface.
Yes.
When we find out in the mystical part of us that there is actual panoramic full movies full lifetimes, full evolutions, full information of everything in the universe. And when you move over into this area that I'm talking about, it also brings to pass the manifestations of the characters that in 1 Corinthians about the gifts of the Spirit, 12, I believe it is.
1 Corinthians 12, yes, sir.
Yeah. This potential of us as the pure self. See, what was so amazing about this is that the pure self is not affected by any of the flaws that you could sit down and write a list of how many things you see that in your mind and ego would be wrong with you to be able to stand before God. There is no such thing as anybody not ever standing before God, whether you say you're saved, whether you say you need to be delivered, whether you say you got a billion devils in there. There's a part of you, like the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle, that cannot be touched by any of that to the degree that you cease to be eternal. So he said to this woman, daughter, your real self, your Christ self, which was standing right in front of her. And that's what we're talking about. The topic,
the authentic self, yes.
Authentic self. Daughter, you have been healed by your authentic self.
Exactly.
Now, you can go after these manifestations that we talked about the last time on Tuesday by practice, principle, and technique. Or you can go about it in love. Now, what love will do, love will put all of those practices and even praying to the side.
Yeah.
It will lay it to the side, and you're operating what I call and picked up many years ago, first person.
Yeah. Now, I said this to Laverne the other day. We were having a conversation, and I said that our goal is and our task is, in order to come to a place where we have become portals for that healing power, is to find the place of rest inside of ourselves, to labor to enter into rest for this reason only. When we are disturbed and panicked and in fear, the power or the flow of the healing cannot come through that filter. Exactly. It said in the scriptures that Jesus was moved with compassion and healed them. So the flow of God rides on love, the healing power, and all of the things that God has to come to people for them to receive for their good comes through the portal of love. So we must remove ourselves from the fear, the anxiety, the panic, and come into a place of rest. If we don't do that, we'll never have the power of God really flowing through us the way we desire it to be.
Exactly. And that's why even with Jesus giving the commandment that we will love one another, and it's not just an action, it's us becoming, because God is love. And so when you talked about fear and panicking, those are not attributes of the true self.
Right.
Attributes of the true self is love. And so
it is love. That's our nature.
Exactly. And so even going back to when Bishop was talking about the woman that had the issue of blood, even Jesus himself stated she healed her own self. See, oftentimes when we preach that, we say Jesus healed the woman that had the issue, but no, he did not. She healed herself because she identified with the fact of who she was, and she said, if I could touch or make that connection with my true identity, with Jesus himself being that mirror reflection back to her, she was able to draw out of him the virtue. We often say virtue, the power, or the essence of life, or better yet, the excellency of God was released into her. And that's why Jesus was able to say to her, your faith, not I had nothing to do with it, your faith made you whole. So
and she did come to a place of rest, because she had to override every fear of coming out into the public being an unclean person at that time.
Okay, here's the package deal.
Wow.
Go ahead, Brother Green. You got something?
I was thinking about Jesus speaking, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. I am meek and lowly.
Yes.
And our life, meekness, lowliness, and meekness is a offspring of love. Love is meekness. Meekness is love.
Yes.
And he said, and you will get restlessness out of your emotional life.
Oh, that's
you
good.
shall find rest to your soul or your emotional, mental. A lot of people breakdowns, nervous breakdowns are a result of restlessness, the young and the restless.
Yes.
But that unity, that union with Christ, Brother Sawyer, when I first met you, you were teaching on union. And then this identity that Christ is our life. I'm in the book of Colossians right now. Christ is our life. Well, that life is not restlessness. That life is absolute stability and peace and serenity. And we find rest in that union, that yokeness, and learning of Jesus through intimacy.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
That's good, Brother Green.
Michael Jordan made a statement. When he's out on the basketball court, I think Michael Jordan, right?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, yeah.
Not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. I'm sorry if I said Jackson. I didn't mean
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jackson can play basketball too.
Yeah, but that ain't the kind of ball I'm talking about. You can get off the ball, right? Not that ball.
Now go ahead. You don't forget what you're gonna say. Michael Jordan, what?
When he was on the court, he was in what is called the zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was not thinking about basketball in the sense of winning or losing.
Or am I going to make this shot?
He entered into beingness. That's right. Yes. Now here's a jump now. I can remember the first time I felt the awareness of being Christ. When I stooped down.
Yeah, just like when Brother Green said that he felt like he was.
Yeah.
Trade Center.
This is the clue to miracles taking place without an anointing coming and going under the disguise of leaving and losing, losing and gaining.
But you do put it on.
Yeah, you put it on. Well, okay, now here it is. There is a way that can get you into what you're looking for if you can understand that you're looking from where you're looking to, and you are what you're looking for. Now, we're not going to talk about you got to be this, you got to be one. I'm in the process of being one.
Yeah.
All of those sayings have to be omitted from your awareness, consciousness, or the patterns of conditioning. Now, once this takes place, now listen to what I'm saying. Once you operate or find out how first person operate, you'll be introduced to it, but you won't be introduced to it until your nervous system is fully adjusted to receive or handle the impact of being removed from reactions. Now I'm talking into the science of this thing.
That's good.
And the ability, the science definition is to know and to know what's going on. It's the actual.
It's the how to.
The how to, when to, and what to. Now I want you to listen, because when I called a little boy to me, and his name was Connor, at Grove Park Inn in Asheville, North Carolina. We was on our way back to our room on the club floor, and this little boy with his mom and daddy was walking, and I spotted him, and all of a sudden, I just had to talk to him. I had to hold him and talk to him. And in order to do this, I stooped down on his level. That little boy stopped and turned around and came to me. I asked his mom and dad, can I talk to him? And the reason why I want to talk to him, because I knew that I had met him in heaven before he came to earth.
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed him and I looked at him. I can't remember all that I said to him, but it was about Christmas, I think it was. I said, I often say to the children, are you ready? Look, I've had children in grocery type carts in Lowe's, and they be riding and they turn around in the grocery cart and wave at me. And when they do, I talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm talking about the same thing that Jesus, I'm talking about the same thing we did 2022 years ago inside the body of Jesus Christ when he come into the temple and read from the book of Isaiah. You were reading that from your eternal self. I could go on with this thing, or I could, I could pop with it now.
But you're saying something very, very profound, not in the sense that it's never been said before, but it's very important, significant what you just said. Every Christmas you have this persona that comes over you.
Yes.
That children are attracted to you because you look and remind them of Santa Claus.
I missed that present. Okay? I missed that too.
But you haven't lost it.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the persona, and that's what Brother Green was talking about. He put on the persona of Fred Sanford to the point that he became him. And remember, there's a scripture that says, "Put on Christ."
Yes,
exactly.
Like a coat.
Put it on. And I remember when I was managing.
That's what I preached last night.
Yes, and so years ago, I was managing a physical therapy clinic, and we had a young lady back in the day. We had typewriters, and she was the transcriptionist. She would actually have to transcribe and type up every letter on the spot to give to the patients to take with them to the doctor. And she was fast. She was really, really fast. Well, she was out of work one day, and I had to fill in her place. I can type, but I am not that fast. And so I sat at her desk. And I literally did what Brother Green said. I put her on to the point that I actually felt like I was her. And I sat there and I typed that letter just as fast as she would have typed it.
Exactly.
It was simply the ability that we have as the authentic self, the true self, to be whatever we choose by putting it on. And so we put on Christ, and we are able to do these same kinds of miracles and workings that he did.
Exactly.
Let me share something with you. Now, this is. I got to give you. I thought I called you the other night, and I wanted to tell you this, but sometimes the strength to push things out and say them is dissipated by distractions sometimes. Well, let me share something with you. I kept seeing one night Jesus going in the tomb, and he was turning around and coming back out. I saw the entrance of the tomb like a revolving door. And I said, wonder why he keeps going in and coming out. Well, then it changed over. It was us going in and coming out. But he said to me, I wanted this to be fixed so you won't go in and keep coming out, because each time you go in, you are someone, and then you come back around, you're somebody else. He said, I want you to remain being him, beingness. Now, here's the clue. I picked up some information from about brokenness and the release of the spirit. In the mystical side of that, say it again.
He mentioned about Watchman.
I was just thinking about Watchman Nee.
Yeah. And so what happened, Brother Green, is that I found out by revelation how to get pregnant as a man and give birth to a baby as a man. And when the baby was due and did not come out on time, I found out how to push the baby out of the womb. Like a mama pushing the fetus out of her stomach. Now, this is the mystical side of our identity. There are some muscles that women use to push the baby out because they say push, take a deep breath and push. The doctor tell me every time I go there, when they get ready to shoot a needle in a place in me where I know it's going to hurt, they tell me to breathe. Breathe. I don't want to breathe. I don't want to breathe. I want you to stop. I want you to stop. I don't want to breathe. I don't want to breathe. I want you to stop. Now, here it is. Here it is. When I was standing in front of a man that had cancer, when my young days, Brother Greenwell used to come up there, I stood there and I did what I've been trained to do in competitive weightlifting. If I was going to lift 300 pounds or 400 pounds or 200 pounds, I had to go to that bar and take some breaths. But I entered into the beingness of that barbell, and what I decided to do was make it lighter in my super self conscious.
Mm-hmm.
When I picked that weight up, the heavy feeling did not matter to me. I found out, Brother Green, that this will cost you. It will spin you, meaning it will take every last muscle in your anatomy to do what I'm telling you now to do. So I stopped and I waited to see if I was willing to die for this person in front of me to live. In order to do that, I had to die by using my breath and oxygen to push who I knew, who I was, what I was, and how I was, and being I am, I had to push my inner self out through the pores of my body that had been opening through trials and disturbances, childhood relationship, discretions, rejections, pain that I've gone through. I use every bit of my muscle to push through these openings in my soul. As I did that, I began to see healing salve come through every wall and opening inside. So I'm telling you this because there will come a time when you will have to stand before somebody, regular praying won't do it. Tell them God's going to heal them, don't do it. Quoting scriptures, don't do it. Putting salve on it, don't do it. Putting grease on it, don't do it. Putting a Band-Aid on it, don't do it. Taking them to the doctor, won't do it. Lay them down and massage them, won't do it. It will take the supernatural power of your infinite eternal essence.
Yes.
That is the same essence in them, but it's imprisoned by the mind, memory, and past thoughts. Push it out. Now, once you push it out, Brother Green, this is the reason why you would see William Branham to a place where they had to hold him up. That's because he's pushing the life force out of him that Jesus used to heal the one beneath your blood. Okay?
Wow.
And Dad, when you talked about the lifting of weights and you talked about the breathing, of course, I'm a lifter as well. What a lot of people don't understand, which you was able to do, is that you was able to tap into the energy center, the chakras.
Okay.
When you breathe like that, you are actually increasing that energy to do feats that you would normally not be able to do. And so what you actually did was release energy. And so even as you were sharing that just now, even going back to the woman that had the issue of blood, it was the energy, the essence, the life force of God that was released. And so the reason why many people become frustrated when they are praying and believing for certain results to happen and it's not happening is because they have not learned the art of releasing themselves or the energy or the essence of who they are into that person.
Yeah, and you know the scripture that says, "Put ye on Christ and walk in Him." Walk in Him.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually putting on that persona. Now, this is the thing that I want to bring out for those of us who may not be ministers, because we can get caught up in talking as a minister and leave other people because they're not in that same category, not in that same. They're not in that function, but they are ministers on their personal level, but they may not be thinking about doing miracles. They may not be thinking about doing any kind of exploits, but I can say that they want to see miracles in their life. And so when we think about putting on Christ, our first thought as ministers is we will have the power of God flowing through us to make sure other people are healed and taken care of or whatever. But putting on Christ is a lot more than him doing miracles.
Yes.
Because he didn't just do miracles. He forgave, and he was not judgmental.
That's right.
He was not judgmental. So putting on his persona is putting on what he is, not what he does. Not what he does. So I don't want to give anybody the misconception that we're saying the minute you put Christ on, you're going to go out and clear out the hospitals. That is not what we're saying. But we are saying that your very presence will bring healing to people, and sometimes without you even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
You sound like you was in my church last night.
No, good. I was, because we're the same essence.
Yeah.
Now,
I want to revisit something. When you was talking, two things I want to revisit. When you was talking about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Now, for those that know his story, we know Jordan in his time of glory where he became one of the most phenomenal, if not the best basketball player ever in all times, right? But in high school, he could not even make the basketball team.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. He was a great baseball player, but he was not a great basketball player. So now let's see the mind of Michael Jordan. He wanted to be a basketball player. So in spite of the perception of those that denied him in high school of ever having a chance to play basketball, he had to begin to become something that he had in his mind or embody. And so as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so Michael Jordan was able to transform himself and tap into something that he desired. And he became that, and not only became that, but he became the greatest. You know, they use the terminology GOAT, greatest of all time. And so he was able to do feats and I would say manifest miracles on the court that no one ever saw before. They were literally blown away. And so I thought about that as he did not buy into the mirror reflection of the perceptions of other people of what he wanted to be.
Yes.
And so I love that.
Yes, that was the reason I showed that little clip about the true mirror, because what you saw in that clip was that people had a concept of themselves until they saw their true self, and it totally changed. So you can have a glimpse of who you truly are without having a mirror. But Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. And then it says, you are the temple of the Holy Spirit. And then it says, they that are joined to the Lord are one spirit. So turning within, finding who I am within, is to see my true self. And when I see my true self, other attributes come into play. For instance, I'll give you a real easy, simple example. And this is our baby girl, our dog. We've been walking her twice a day. He used to get up in the early morning and walk her. He got where he couldn't walk that far. So now I have to get up and walk her most mornings. And then we walk her again in the afternoon because we don't want her to gain weight. Well, we depended on her motivation to walk in order to make us walk. But now she's gotten to an age where she no longer wants to walk that distance. So sometimes she'll start off and then she'll just stop like a mule and not want to go any further. So yesterday when I took her out to go walk, she did that, and I could not make her continue to go walk. She said, I'm going back home. I don't care what you say. So I took her back to the house, and then I left her, and I went for my walk. So where I had been using her motivation, external motivation to get me to walk, I then had to pull from my own within, what's within me, to have the determination to do it. I had to put on that mind.
Yeah.
I had to put on that mind. Yeah. And that made me another kind of person. Yes.
Exactly. Let this mind be in you. Yes.
And that's what Michael Jordan did. He put on that mind.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Well, we were talking about pushing also. that energy that pushes out the power of God. Last night, my wife came to me and said her back was hurting. So she comes to me a numbers of times, and I began to pray, but it didn't take long. I just began to speak, and I felt energy come out of the center of my being. And I just said, "You go on," because I didn't know it just, I felt the release of it before I could even, really lay hands. That power was coming, like when Jesus said, "Come touch me," and virtue went out of his body. I felt that supernatural energy. Another thing I want to say, when we were talking about Michael Jordan, when I was in sophomore in high school, I was a star basketball player. Only reason why, there's a guy named Tom Norman. That boy could play some basketball, and I would watch him play basketball in practice, and I go to all the games. When I made the first team, when I went out on that floor, I did not go out on that floor as Charles Green. I went out on that floor as Tom Norman in my head. But I became Tom Norman in my head because I already was a good imitator. My name was in the newspaper. Every time I got the ball, I would shoot it like him. And they called me, Ed-Eye Green. I shoot it from long ways out. It goes swishing down. And then only thing about it, my left brain took over when I did not watch Tom Norman handle the ball. I could never dribble the best. That part of me that did not renew myself after the image of Tom Norman, I couldn't. And then that's where I began to fail at. But in any other area that I meditated on Tom Norman, I was able to go out on the floor and do everything he did.
Yeah.
And I was in the newspaper twice in a row.
That's interesting. There was an old movie. There's an old movie called Somewhere in Time. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
You ever watched it with Christopher Reeves? No, is it Christopher Reeves? Yeah. And he was a time traveler. And he saw the picture of a woman on the wall at a hotel, and he wanted to meet her. And he literally did a time travel back to her time by, I don't remember the old exact thing, but he actually put himself in the mind of being there. He put on the clothes and everything of that time, and he transported himself into her particular time and met her and fell in love with her and was with her. And he had put this old suit on, and while he was standing there with her conversing, he felt in his pocket a penny. And he pulled the penny out, and the penny said 1969. And immediately he went back to his present time because the penny took him there.
Wow.
Couldn't hold the memory of where he was. So I wrote this in my note. I just had happened on here today, and I didn't realize we were going to say this, but I wrote, an identity can be preserved in the subconscious only by a memory.
And Mom, that's awesome, because when you mentioned about their identity, and so I immediately thought about Isaiah 43 verse 18. Remember ye not the former things, or the things of old. And so behold, I will do a new thing, verse 19. But when you talked about identity, and when Isaiah says that by the Spirit of God, remember not the former things or the things of old, he didn't say the bad or negative things.
Right.
He said, remember not the former things. They could have been bad, negative, great, excellent, the greatest time in your life. But what he's trying to get us to understand as we evolve, that what we are to embody in the near future far outweighs what we was used to or familiar with in our past.
Yes.
So I think that's very interesting when you just use that analogy, that oftentimes if we reflect back on something like he did with the coin, it'll take us right back into our former identity, and we cannot walk in the new.
There you go. That's exactly right.
The high self.
Let me mention Linda's comment, and then you go hold it. Okay. Linda says Muhammad Ali has been an inspiration to her because he saw what he wanted to accomplish, visualized it, and created his reality as a heavyweight champion. Yes.
Okay. There is the divine flow that you brought with you to this side, you looked over the charts in the hall of justice and in the hall of eternal essence. You pull out the kind of essence of God that would fit the modalities of your events, or the model of your events that you were going to operate in this earth realm. You picked out through your infinite divine self how you are going to overcome every obstacle. So what you did, you set up the obstacles. Lord have mercy. You set the obstacles up and crossed over them and went through them before you came to earth. The Bible, I think it's about Revelation, Jesus rehearsed death, burial, and resurrection before he came to earth. That was why it was so easy for him to do.
That's why it said the lamb slain before the foundation.
Slain before the foundation of the world.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take a breath. Breathe on this. Feed on this. But this is the last time you'll have to use the breath of this body or the breath of your eternal self to move this body around. When you get through with it, not when the devil or anybody else, when you get through with it, you will leave and you will take with you what you put in it.
Yes. Now, Dad is
glory.
He's popping. He's popping
Awesome.
right now, Brother Brand. That's our plan for getting overexcited. He's popping right now because he's moving up and he's pushing
Yes.
and he's going up over.
Oh,
he's trying
Lord.
to get in the screen.
Oh, Lord.
But this is interesting because what that tells me is there is no reason that we cannot overcome and accomplish whatever we choose to do.
Exactly.
And choose to be more than choose to do. We choose to be the one, not do as the one, but to be that one that has accomplished, that is accomplishing. So when we put that on, and there's a knack to it, a technique to putting it on, but I can't really say how I put on the persona of that young lady who typed that typewriter. I just know I sat there and I willed myself to be her.
Okay. I want to go back to something that Dad says all the time. Somehow we flip the switch.
Yes.
There's an inner switch somehow that
and we all have
and unknown. We switch it and we become that. Yeah.
We all have that switch.
Okay, here it is. By and by, oh, when the morning comes, all the saints
All the saints
gathering on.
God
Tell the story of
how
we
overcome. How we
Understand it better
Understand it better.
I'm gonna buy y'all CD. I told y'all Tuesday I'm gonna buy y'all CD.
I got my label.
There you go. They're gonna put out this CD.
Now, why did you sing that
song?
I heard my essence use my internal memory to recall. See, whenever I sing like that, I'm in a place.
You put yourself.
I'm in a place where I heard the song. I may not know the words, but I know the esoteric feeling. Let me tell you something. Peter did not walk on that water because Jesus went out there and he accompanied Peter by giving him permission to walk on that water. He did not walk on the water by permission, nor did he walk on the water because he wanted to.
Oh.
All right, go ahead.
Now you tapping into what I preached last night.
He walked on that water because when he saw Jesus, he looked into the true mirror
of himself.
And then he asked the question, Mom, which is so funny. He said, if it be you, bid me to come.
Yes.
So he was, if that is me, if that is my reality, then I'm coming out. I'm stepping out of this boat.
Come on in here, boy. Come on in the house. We're going to have some preaching in this house. All right. You're gonna crank up something in a minute.
Yes.
Praise the Lord.
We done
good
cranked it
cooking
up.
around here, y'all. Y'all got an odor in the atmosphere.
I'm thinking about that fragrance.
Well, you remember the scripture, and I'm not quoting it exactly, but it says, when Christ shall appear, we shall see him and we'll be as he is. So looking at
3:2.
See him as the true mirror. When we see him, we see ourselves. We see ourselves. Okay. And we're able then to put it on.
And it's funny, Mom, because when I think about it even further, we have to be careful what we allow ourselves to think, because whatever we think, we embody. We attract that. And so I thought about again when Dad was sharing how when the little kids would see him as Santa Claus. Now, we know for those that is in the acting world and entertainment and so forth with movies and stuff, they get a casting call to come out and try out for a part. And so there'd be a lot of people that would try out for that part, but only one actually gets the role. And the one that gets the role is no longer trying, they're now being.
They're being.
And so Dad, it's not that the kids are attracting him because he looked like Santa Claus, because there are a lot of people that look like him, stuff like that. But Dad has embodied the symbolism, the meaning of not just of Santa, but of love. Yes. And that's what's attracting those young children to them. And I've been there. I witnessed it, early on when I came.
You have, that's right.
We to the church and all those kids was around. I was blown away because those kids really believe that he was Santa. So it wasn't just the fact of him trying to be Santa Claus, and he didn't have on the suit. He didn't have none of those things that you go to the department stores and see. These kids really believe it's because Dad had embodied not just Santa, but he embodied the symbol of love.
Yes, and that's the important key.
That's awesome.
One of the things that I can say about my husband, and I am biased, but I say this as objectively as I can, that when he meets people or they meet him, the first thing they meet is the love that he has for them, and the openness, the absolute acceptance of them.
Absolutely.
And for some, it's harmful in a sense, because after that initial encounter, they feel like he's going to constantly do that. But initially, it's like they're totally accepted no matter what. And they haven't had that kind of unconditional love in this earth realm. And there's not a lot of people who are walking in that. And I'm not just patting him on the back. I'm not complimenting, but he's found that part of himself and he's walking in it. Exactly. And we can all do that. We can all do that.
Exactly.
When I go see the doctor.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Brother Sawyer, I've been talking to Brother Sawyer, Prophet Sawyer. He's since 1993.
Yeah, a long time.
But it's been over 30 years, about 29 years.
Okay.
And I remember when Pastor Antoinette gave me y'all's phone number at the Wilkins Church. And but anyway, so many years ago, I can't remember how many years ago, but I had to go down to Atlanta to see my brother. I went down to Atlanta because he was having problems with his leg and, circulation and some other stuff with blood clotting or whatever it was. And we got down there. We couldn't find the boy for nothing. We went out to baggage claim. We couldn't find him. And I'm looking around to the left and the right. And then all of a sudden, I got a phone call from heaven. On the other end of that phone call, somebody's, "What you doing?" It was Brother Sawyer. And I said, "I need me to tell me where my brother is." And he said, "I see him running towards you right now." We had been standing on that curb for about over a half hour looking for him. And as soon as I turned my head, here come my brother running and hopping.
Wow.
And I will never forget that. And then when my mother, in 2011, my mother My mother was in the ICU of Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Because she took an lisinopril pill and swole up her tongue, and her tongue filled her whole mouth. They put a trach down her throat. She couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And I went in, drove down to Memphis, and my sister lived in Memphis. We were sitting in ICU. My sister never heard of Prophet Sawyer before, never seen him or heard him. And he explained exactly what she was drinking, what she was wearing.
I remember that.
And then while we were sitting there, I remember you saying very clearly, you said, wait a minute. I see Jesus walk right into the ICU, and I see people in there with lab coats. I see even family members in there with your mother. And Brother Green, the Lord told me to tell you, oh my God, tell you something. The Lord told me to tell you, I'm going to bring your mama out of this place.
Wow.
And it's not going to be right away, but he's going to bring her through. And
Yes.
she come out a month later and lived another 10 years of life. The doctors said they didn't think she was going to make it.
Oh, my.
That's the Jesus. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's the Jesus that keeps me talking since 1993. Because I'm talking to a Jesus. It's my Jesus. Thank you.
You're
for
one
embodying love and walking in your calling, and all of you together.
Thank you.
But I just want to say that to those that are watching.
Thank you. Yes.
I got my mama back for another 10 years.
Yes, you sure did. You sure did.
I got to have my hope. She just went to be with the Lord last year.
Yeah.
And that was 2011.
Wow.
You have been one of our greatest cheerleaders, and we thank you so much for the encouragement. And you've also connected in with a lot of people just because you knew that it would come through him like that. And so we appreciate you for that, Brother Green. Let us know if you guys that are listening, let us know. Virginia says it's very powerful, it's uplifting to her. Let us know how you are, whether this is resonating with you and how you're getting. Are you getting this? Are there questions or something? We're about to go off, and I'll give you just a minute to have a comment or a question if you want to do so. So if you do that right now for us, okay? Do that right now. We're so happy to have you, Brother Green, with us today.
Yes, we are.
Pastor Norman.
Thank you for inviting me.
Finally was able to put a face with the name.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, you ain't seen him.
But I talked to him on the phone.
Good to meet you, Pastor Norman.
Yeah.
It was real. It was real.
Yes. Thank
you,
Lady. Hope to
meet y'all see y'all in person again. And
that would be great.
It would. Yes. Thank you, Lady Gwen.
Dad and Ma, I keep hearing ever since Prophet Sanchez, there's going to be a reunion. I really believe it. It's going to
He came on with us last week, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did. It was a blessing to have him as well. So we're really happy that you guys came on, Brother Green. You came on, and they're saying that they really enjoyed the conversation today. Buzz, I'm glad you're here. I was wondering if you were here. Thank you, Buzz, for being with us today.
Have I been so long you and you've not known it? Have I been so long you and you've not known it? Mm-hmm. The mystical side of you is Christ, the hope of glory.
Yes.
It is not something you get, obtain, study to get. It is a grace in fullness, awareness, as you fall deep into the well of infinite identity where you see Jesus Christ. Different. Each time you talk to somebody, you talk to him. Each time they talk to you, it's him talking to you. Mm-hmm. What do you got there? You got a picture? Brother Green, who's that picture?
That's Logan.
That's James Logan.
Brother Logan sent this picture to me.
Okay. It's Pastor Logan. Okay.
I can't see it clear, but
it's hard for us to see it because the picture's not big enough. But we're so glad you guys tuned in to us today. And
I'll send it to you.
All right, that'd be great. So our time is up, and we'll be back again on Sunday at 10 for Cornerstone. Pastor Norman in South Carolina will be back at 11 for Bold Ministries. And Pastor Green, what time does your service start?
Mine on Facebook starts at 11.
All right.
We start 10 o'clock, but on Facebook.
It'll be at 11 on Facebook. Okay. That's what we wanted to find out. So you guys, we'll see you again on Sunday.
Okay. We're
going to say goodbye.
Brother Green, we'll talk to you later.
No, Brother Green can stay on.
Oh, he
I'm
can
just
stay.
going to
Okay, thank y'all. Love y'all.
You can stay.
Hold on, Brother Green. We'll see you guys on Sunday, okay?
Bye-bye.